This is Drake and Taylor Swift, and this is a McDonald's Happy Meal. What do they have in common? Never growing up made them billions. Drake and Taylor Swift are the McDonald's Happy Meal of the music industry. Just choose which toy you want with your burger. They're the biggest in the business, their output is endless, and no matter how much criticism's thrown their way, it feels like nothing can stop them. Over their near 20-year careers, they've managed to stay relevant with people not only their age, but also have cultivated these massive fan bases with groups of people who weren't even born when their first singles charted. But as they continue to reach these new unprecedented heights of fame and fortune, it does feel that it's been at the cost of what could have been. While their contemporaries like Beyoncé and Kendrick Lamar continue to redefine the boundaries in which stars their level can break through, Drake and Taylor Swift are seemingly content with who they are. Almost like how McDonald's will always be McDonald's, SpongeBob will always be SpongeBob, and Nike is Nike. Even as we get older, as brand images in our heads, they remain a constant. But Drake and Taylor are human beings that mentally and physically age. I mean, sure, they have tricks to keep them young and fresh, but in watching them attempt to keep their secret formula intact, their flaws have begun shining through the cracks. The problem with Drake and Taylor Swift isn't that they're lazy. The problem is that at a certain age, you realize McDonald's isn't good for you. Today we're going to be answering the questions of what is the problem with Drake and Taylor's music, what separates them from other superstars of today, their brand, and most importantly, have we outgrown them? So, yeah, Taylor's last album sucked.
I put careers on shelves like Amazon distribution center. Hell, really hate to call on broski for the dirty work. I'd rather do it by myself.
Taylor Swift could sell a blank disc and do $2 million first week. And if the Torture Poets department showed us anything, it's that it doesn't matter what this girl does, the fans will support it. I think a lot of level-headed critics and listeners are puzzled by its gargantuan runtime, aimless production, and uninspired lyrics. And while it's clear certain outlets definitely gave writing duties to in-house Swifties to avoid any backlash or to be rewarded by Taylor retweeting or posting the reviews on her Twitter, the weekend the album dropped seemed to bring Taylor discourse to an all-time high in a year that already had a lot of Taylor Swift discourse in it. And where the fire was brought to Taylor, it's been at the feet of Aubrey for some time, especially in the last year. Whether it's Mos Def saying Drake makes music for shopping at Target, Joe Budden's array of criticisms for All the Dogs, or their day in the court of public opinion is here. And maybe for good reason, because listening to the Torture Poets department and For All the Dogs, and hearing lyrics like, touch me while your bros play Grand Theft Auto, and feel like I'm bi cause you're one of the guys, girl, is kind of insane when you consider that both these people can run for president. Well, actually not Drake, cause, you know, Canadian. Throwing all those together, it's made me look a lot closer at not only those albums, but everything they've ever put out. And I started to notice something.
Why you gotta fight with me at Cheesecake? You know I love to go there.
I think it's safe to say that Drake and Taylor Swift enjoy making music for the masses. And why wouldn't they? A lot of perks come with being as big as the Pope. Money, power, respect, but most of all, an audience. And as a creative, the idea of someone listening to your music or using your voice as a vessel for their own feelings, it's a pretty powerful thing. And it's not like their grip on the music industry doesn't make any sense. Their simplicity and every man, every girl relatability have always been a part of the appeal. They did this when they both were cosplaying as Southern Americans, and they managed to still do it today from their private jets. Also, side note, did you know Taylor Swift was from Pennsylvania and not like Nashville or the South? Like, she grew up an hour out of Philly. Genre hopping, riding waves, collaborating and co-signing whoever's popping at the moment. They've done it all. But it's clear that the music, no matter what tints applied to it, all follow very similar tropes and cliches. The good old if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality. And going through the discographies, you could start dropping the songs into the same couple of buckets. Like, you got the breakup songs, the all the haters anthems, the love songs, the party songs. You Belong to Me and Marvin's Room are about being the better option for someone, but so are Rich Baby Daddy and Fortnite, just, you know, with a senior citizen discount. Their sounds may change here and there, but only within the confines that they've created for themselves. It's almost like they noticed a long time ago that operating in these areas of playlists and living in this constant state of coming of age and heartbreak and youth not only will resonate with the youth who control what is and isn't popular, but those hopelessly romantic teenagers and jaded lover boys who never grew up past those days and went on to become nostalgic adults. And speaking of nostalgic adults, just check out my last video on nostalgification of pop music, but only after you watch this one because, you know, we gotta keep the retention up. And while you're at it, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I do these videos about pop culture and niche topics that I really enjoy, but also so that my friends and family don't have to hear me yap on and on and on about things like Drake and Taylor Swift. Like, just listen to the fucking radio, stop being a maniac. But there's gotta be some soul out there that also likes this type of thing, so definitely hit like and subscribe, and let's get back to the show. But I don't know. At this point, I'm just starting to see it more as wasted potential. Like, I was talking to a friend the other day, and they were like, I like Drake the way he is. I don't want Drake getting political. Why would I ever want that? And not that I'm looking for his thoughts on inflation or the military-industrial complex, but I think an album about being a child of divorce and then yourself becoming a single father as the biggest rapper in the world would be, I don't know, unique, but also relatable. It made me think more deeply about what we want and expect from artists versus what they could offer us. Like, we loved Graduation, but we didn't know we needed 808s and Heartbreak. The Beatles stopped touring and doing shows so they could focus solely on themselves and making the best music, and they did. Imagine Pharrell didn't tell Tyler, the Creator, what Jimmy Iovine told him about house music. It's almost like Drake and Taylor Swift became so big and so successful that they created an expectation of what their music needs to be, and they feel every release needs to check off every box. I mean, Drake's even gone on to say this.
I mean, I don't think I'm gonna be able to ever make like a 12, 13 song album, but only because I have to do two things every album. I have to give the people that like to hear the singing enough to hold on to, and I have to give Braun enough bars for him to, you know that.
And even when they attempted to go left, it's not like they weren't diving into topics they hadn't already explored ad nauseum, or had let someone else go in the house first to see if it was safe. And for as much as I enjoyed those albums, you're only left wishing they'd taken it further. Especially in an age when they're sharing the superstar label with stars like Beyoncé and, we're gonna get to that. Just let me cook for a second.
Hello again, friend of a friend.
Now, I don't think there's two people you could put up against Taylor Swift and Drake that disprove the idea more that artistic integrity needs to be sacrificed in exchange for streams and sold out tours than Beyoncé and Kendrick Lamar. We've seen Beyoncé go from pop diva to one of American music's great deconstructors with her last 3 albums, exploring everything from genre to race to feminism to love to family to even music and American history. And this is coming from a woman who's 25 years in, has 3 kids and more money than God. I think the beauty of the last 3 Beyoncé albums is just how hungry she sounds. The ideas are pulsating from every corner of every track. And what she's bringing to the table at times is so grandiose and so maximalist and so thought out that the only thing I could do while listening to a song like Yaya off Cowboy Carter for the first time was cry. Not because she was striking an emotional chord or she hit home, because to me as a music fan, I was listening to one of the biggest artists alive craft this massive rock country crossover track, talking about everyday people and the struggles they go through, with lines like whole lot of red in that white and blue, history can't be erased. Like, come on. Even if it's not her life today, it feels like someone speaking through her. She's painting these incredible visuals in my head, not only because she won't drop a music video, but because everything is so detailed sonically. It's unlike anything I've ever heard her do before, and something I can never interchange with a cutoff 4 or self-titled or Lemonade. It's that kind of artistry that shows you the true power of what popular music can achieve, just like the discography of Kendrick Lamar, which is aimed to dive deeper and deeper into who Kendrick really is. Good Kid, Mad City's glimpse into his life as a young adult growing up in Compton, To Pimp a Butterfly's grappling with fame, fortune, and searching for answers, Damn's reflections on destiny and life's choices, and of course, Mr. Morale's exploration of his savior complex, childhood traumas, infidelity, and fatherhood. Ultimately, those artists go places that can only exist on those specific albums by those specific artists. Like, could you imagine Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Drake, or Taylor Swift's Renaissance? I got gambling issues, that's on me. You see, like, that would be fire. This is what I'm talking about. This kind of reinvention, this kind of introspection from aging celebrities is what separates the Beyoncés and Kendricks from the Taylors and Drakes. Two people using their platforms to shine a light on an array of different topics, exploring new sounds and challenging themselves every step of the way. And in that, they've grown and continue to grow with their audience, you know, instead of whatever the hell's going on here.
Oh, here we go again. The voices in his head called the rain to
Torture Poets Department is like if one of those monotone TikTok day in the life about living in a major city things was a 2-hour album. I mean, what else can I say that hasn't been said already about this? It's a snooze fest, thanks in help to its lifeless and mundane production, which in my search for something to grasp onto on this album, only amplified the repetitive lyrical content. And by the end of this 2-hour experience, I was deflated, I was tired, and I just did not give a fuck. I don't care about the British guy you thought you were gonna marry. I don't care about the other British guy you dated who made some of my favorite songs. I don't care about your haters because you have $1 billion. I don't care about your feud with Kim Kardashian anymore. I just don't care anymore because I've heard you do this again and again and again and again and again and again and again for years. And before you go, well, what about all the other artists who only write love and breakup songs? What about Ariana Grande? What about Frank Ocean? What about SZA? I mean, one, come on. But two, volume. They aren't releasing 20 plus song albums all the time. They aren't re-releasing their entire catalog of music. They aren't now on a multi-year Eras tour. They get the benefit of the doubt because our time with them is so limited. Taylor's created a business model where you can't get away from her. She's inevitable. And for some, not even some, most, it's a glorious time. But for others, I don't know. It feels kind of suffocating. Because with this person constantly right in front of me, it becomes hard to not notice everything. Like how repetitive the music is. Not even lyrically, but from like a music theory standpoint. Or even how backhanded her attempts at accountability have always sounded. Or how often she revisits the same themes and topics, or even how she dresses to evoke the feeling of a teenager coming of age. Normally, I'd say this is me looking way too much into things, but part of the Taylor Swift brand is to look this deeply into everything. And in that, I can't help but notice the assembly line she's created of different versions of this Cinderella story, where she's just waiting for this happy ending because the world is full of evil stepmothers and stepsisters and false Prince Charmings. That's drama that will and always will sell records, even when you're, again, 35 years old and fly a private jet to Costco. And she's not even hiding it, she wears it on her sleeve. But that's what the Torture Poets department and the Eras tour and the Taylor's versions are. Taylor Swift unapologetically being the Taylor Swift we've known since Taylor Swift. All's fair in love and poetry, like she says. But at a certain point, what are you even fighting for? It's similar criticism I have for Drake's For All the Dogs. Now, while yes, I think works a lot more than the Poets thing did, but at a certain point, it feels like I'm only visiting places I've already been 1,000 times.
Fight is over! Oh, we landed
Drake's 2024 has been wild, to say the least. In what many would call hip-hop's greatest battle, Drake was taken down by Kendrick Lamar. It ended in what felt like an Avengers Endgame-esque finale. Drake dropped his 8-minute red button diss track, Family Matters. It's got Drake at the peak of his powers. Catchy hook, barring up over a drill beat, shooting in all directions, and then that masterpiece of a third beat comes in.
Kendrick just opened his mouth. Someone go hand him a Grammy right now.
It was unbelievable for about 20 minutes. Kendrick drops Meet the Grams, and then the next night drops Not Like Us, and it was over. It's like if Drake is McDonald's, Kendrick was that Super Size Me documentary you watched in health class. Because what Kendrick was able to do in the course of about a week to Drake was take everything he's done, the way he acts, his biggest missteps, bad habits, his age, and just shined a light on them all. Shined a light on his inauthentic music and persona. Shined a light on his obsession with his image, whether that be the certain things he might have done to change his look, or Yachty's influence on his fashion and music to help him appeal to younger crowds. Shined a light on his misogyny. Shined a light on his weird history with women younger than him. Shined a light on his non-stop partying and gambling, especially now that he's a father, and then introducing the idea that there may be another secret kid that he has. All Kendrick had to do to beat Drake was just remind us who Drake is. A 37-year-old man-child who can't let go of his youth. Now, I don't believe that Drake is a PDF file or that he's hiding another kid. I think there was a lot of allegations thrown around this beef because it was rap beef and salacious things will always win. Just like what Drake said about Kendrick, but his actions, his behaviors now as an, again, 37-year-old man haven't done him any favors. The fact that we didn't even put it past him that he may have another secret kid tells us everything we need to know about our relationship with Drake these days. He's an unreliable narrator, spinning the tale of why me when you can trace all the issues back to what he's done. Even Kendrick going as far as he did with Drake is because Drake took it there by bringing up his fiance and his kids. Whether or not whatever summer vibes are coming or going to hit is still up in the air. But I mean, he's already rapping over the BBL Jersey beat with Sexy Red like it's a joke to him. He's already out there doing features. He's making public appearances at concerts, and he's back in Turks partying. There wasn't some long hiatus or a Kanye-esque exile to go make a masterpiece. Nah, it's just business as usual again. And I think ultimately he's gonna be fine because all he has to do is drop another In My Feelings or a Tootsie Slide or a Money in the Grave like he did in the year and change that followed the Pusha beef. That trick worked on me when I was 21, but there was a whole generation that had to go through a similar come to Jesus moment back then too. And now I'm here re-listening to March 14th and re-listening to that amazing outro. You know, where Drake's over the piano and I'm like,
So that was a f***ing lie.
at At this point, it's been made clear by both Drake and Taylor Swift that there is no interest in the worlds that a lot of us are heading towards. There isn't an interest in challenging their audience beyond the music they've repackaged for us over the last 2 decades. Because Drake and Taylor Swift, the brands, are intrinsically tied to being young. And like most brands, they have to adapt. They have to cater to the audiences that keep the lights on in the music industry. So that's why Drake is rapping about being in the club with 21-year-olds. That's why he only talks to meme interviewers and streamers. Why he subs his famous exes on songs like an 18-year-old would on a not-so-cryptic Instagram story. Why he resorts to name-calling on social media when it comes to anyone that questions him. Or how Taylor not-so-subtly makes references to the famous celebrities she's dated or the feud she's had with them in efforts to villainize them. Or repost positive reviews of her latest album to signal the media outlets that if you like her, she'll bless you with traffic, and if you don't, she knows the fan base she has behind her will always come to bat for her. Or how she's down bad, or titling songs "But Daddy, I Love Him," or "I Can Fix Him, I Really Can." When you look at them from this view, it's all starting to feel so high school, because that's the audience they know they need to keep their grip on. The nostalgic adults will still go to an Eras tour, but we need the kids to keep streaming. We need the kids to be posting about us on social media. We need to keep the illusion alive that we're just like you. And it's not just what they want you to think, it's what Universal Music Group wants you to think as well.
Yeah. I'm outside and
Taylor Swift and Drake are signed to Universal Music Group, and if you've been living under a rock, or maybe you know about one but not the other, at the end of the 2010s, the music industry was at a pretty pivotal moment where independence was on the rise, and some of the superstars were suddenly free agents, and there was a lot of talk about what was going to happen if a Drake or a Taylor said, "I'll do it myself." Taylor's Reputation and Drake's Scorpion were their final albums on their deals with who they came into the industry with in the first place, and now it's time to re-up. They both were already associated with Republic Records of UMG through their prior deals, but now they literally could do whatever the hell they wanted. And long story short, they both signed 2 massive deals with Universal Music Group and Republic Records, and Drake has been pretty braggadocious in his music about the deal, because it's estimated to be for around $400 million. And UMG would not only be aligned with Drake musically, but also on his merchandise, touring, or really any projects he was trying to be a part of. And from the looks of it, Taylor may have also signed a similar deal. While she's kept a lot of it under wraps, I did some poking around on the terms and services on our online store, and UMG's involved with her merchandise and touring as well. So now when I talk about these people as brands, that's what they are. It's like Disney owning Star Wars and Marvel, or Warner Brothers owning Harry Potter and DC Comics. Drake and Taylor Swift are the most important franchises of Universal Music Group. And as partners with them, even if they have creative control, they all want to be mutually beneficial to each other. Because the money will always talk, and we know Drake and Taylor like their money. So the non-stop releases of music since 2018, the massive tours they've been on, the onslaught of merchandise, the vinyl variants and remixes, all make sense. Because they aren't just musicians anymore. They're IP, they're franchises, they're brands. And sometimes when a brand loses its identity, you can lose people. Age is a motherfucker and time is our greatest foil. Getting old sucks. These last few years have been tough for me because I never envisioned my life this far. Not in some weird depressing way, but I just never imagined being an adult. It was just a foreign concept to me. And now that it's here, it's hard. What Drake and Taylor Swift meant to me and a lot of people my age is important. You can trace back many moments of my life with their music soundtracking them. And to me, that's the power of art. But getting older also means letting go and realizing that some things just aren't meant for you anymore. 2024 feels like a long time coming for a lot of our relationships with Drake and Taylor Swift. And this video and the choice of pairing these 2 artists together is because I felt that throughout both sides of the discourse surrounding them, that I was going through this similar day of reckoning as a Drake fan that a lot of Taylor fans were going through in these last few months as well. Thus, McDonald's Happy Meal. In the end, your art is your art. And I can't dictate what they can and can't make because I'm not them. I'm just a dumb fucking idiot with a camera. And expecting that they're gonna come along with me for the ride is like me going on a diet and asking McDonald's to make the food for my needs now. That's not realistic because McDonald's doesn't need me. And as I walk out the door, there's already another little kid ready to take my spot. It's all a cycle, and Drake and Taylor Swift are part of that cycle. Just like how SpongeBob is still SpongeBob and Mario is Mario. And Winnie the Pooh, let's just pretend that doesn't exist. Winnie the Pooh is still Winnie the Pooh. The problem isn't that they're lazy or wasting their potential. It's that we are having trouble in letting go of something that's not made for us anymore. And that's okay, because it's part of growing up. But my God, could I smack a burger right now?
I tried with you. It's more to life than sleeping in and getting high with you.